Assalamu alaikum everyone, Huzafa here from PITFX, and this is a weekly outlook for 8th August till the 12th of August. So let's start off with Euro USD on the weekly time frame. As we can see, we are externally in a downtrend. So we have been making lower lows and lower highs. Lower lows, lower high, lower low, lower high. And then this was the impulse move which failed to make another lower low, and it had a retracement up, and then it went on and made a lower high and then a lower low. So this was the leg which is the most important leg right now, as this is the leg which made the most recent lower low. Alright, so this order block right here on the weekly time frame is the most important area of, you can say, area of supply right here. This is one of the most important areas of supply on the weekly time frame, which we know market is very likely to come up to. Okay, if we can extend this a bit until we cover this area zone as well, and covering this imbalance, so this zone for sure market is most likely to come and tap into this zone and then potentially continue even lower. All right, now going on to the daily time frame, we can see that okay, this is the external high right here. Now internally daily turned bullish right here. So if we see, this was the most recent lower high, and then this created a lower low, and then market went on, did a break of structure, came down, retested and made another higher high, came down, a retracement, and now we are expecting a push to the upside coming into this zone for the weekly order block right here. Okay, and then potentially coming down all the way, making new lower lows on the weekly time frame. So on the daily time frame we have this possibility of going to the upside. Now if we go into the 4-hour time frame, we can see that the on 4 hours market had broken some internal structures. So they are basically external on the 4 hours, but then they're the internal structures on the daily time frame. So if we can see, this is the low of the external daily right here, which we can see on the daily time frame. This is the low, this is the external low. So market actually has to break this in order for Euro USD to be bearish. If it doesn't break this, if it continues going back up, we are still bullish internally on daily time frame. So on 4 hours still we had this move right here. So high, higher low, higher high, and then a break of structure right here. Market came back up, tested into this area of supply, and then is showing a reaction from here. But most likely what we can expect is, as we saw internally also, it shifted its trend again and it came back down and it gave off a nice reaction for the buys up here. So now there are two possibilities: either market breaks this external daily low and then it continues bearish, or market continues going up only, and if it breaks this, then we are internally bullish only. Alright, bullish until this area right here. So for us to go externally bullish on Euro USD, we'll have to break this high right here. Okay, let's check once again. Yeah, so this high has to be broken in order for us. This is one of the highs and this is the second one of these highs. So once they're broken, we are externally bullish on Euro USD. Right, until then we are still in a downtrend, we're in a bearish trend. So right now what I'll be doing is, I'll be looking for some buy positions right here, looking for lower time frame confirmations, and then if market goes up and crosses this, I'll be scaling in for Euro USD. Alright, so right now my bias is mainly to the upside until this zone, and then from this zone potentially going and making new lower lows. Alright, another possibility for Euro USD could be that market does not go and make another lower low and it continues going back up. Alright, so we'll react to the market, and this was the bias for the next week. But most probably we will see market playing off from here. Will potentially go up, react in this zone, and then come down, or either break this high and then we continue going up thousands of pips. Alright, if we break this, we are going up many pips. Alright, so moving on to Gbpusd on the weekly time frame, as we can see the area of demand which we have been monitoring for the past few weeks. Market gave us some reaction, and then it reacted off from here. So let's see how much pips were that. Around nearly 400 to 500 pips market reacted from the zone, but now it still failed to break the external highs. The external highs are these. These are the external weekly highs. And then one important highs are these as well. This order block right here is a really important area of supply. This will not change the trend, but this is a very strong area of supply, which if it gets broken, we're most likely to continue bullish. But what do we see? We're seeing market making lower lows coming into this area of demand right here. Market went back up. We were expecting to potentially break this high, but then as we can see, this is a very strong weekly order block. So market just reacted off from here, and now it's pushing towards the downside. It can maybe give off some reaction then continue going back up, or it can make another lower low. Alright, so these two possibilities are there on the weekly time frame. Now daily the same thing, nothing much to see here. Same as weekly, we have been making lower lows only. So externally we are still bearish on Gbpusd, as well as we saw the NFP release 2 days ago, and the NFP release also was in favor of dollar. So many jobs were added, so it's good for the DXY. Hence the GBP and all the dollar dominant pairs will potentially go up, and the dollar non-dominant pairs will potentially go down, like Euro USD, GBP and Nzdusd, according to the fundamentals. Right, so we saw this push down due to the NFP release, and now potentially we could see other lower lows being made on GBP. Moving on to the 4-hour time frame, what we can see is, again, this is the external low on the 4-hour time frame which was being held up. So market was in a nice uptrend making higher highs, right? So this was the most recent higher low, but then market, first of all, it was actually respecting this POI and it was pushing up from here, but then after that NFP release, market ended up breaking this higher low. So potentially my POIs for this week would be around this zone, so this area of supply. I'll monitor for some sells, or this area of supply as well. I'll look for some sells. For buys, I'll be monitoring this zone. This is one of my zone, and another one of my zone will be around this area. So below all this will be my area for demand right here. So these will be my POIs for this week. For obviously, you get the 5-minute confirmation trades on any time frame. You can go long, you can go short. Right now GBPUSD is in a middle, so our bias is not yet decided. Technically we are still bearish, but then we are at a strong weekly demand which could potentially push the market towards the upside, right? So right now we are just in a middle situation. It's best to just wait for the 5-minute time frame confirmation. All the rules are being matched, and take your trade. Either it's long, either it's short. If it's matching with the POI, you can hold it for a little longer. Other than that, I'll advise you guys just go for smaller RR trades, 4-hour, 5-hour, 10-hour. Don't go for like crazy 30, 40, 50 RR, 100-hour. Those trades, wait for it. Once the external highs and lows are broken, that time we can target those type of setups. For now, just go for the lower RR trades, in and out intraday setups, and you should be good, right? So these are the POIs which I'll be monitoring for GBPUSD. Alright, so moving on to Nzdusd, as you guys can see, we had this area of demand marked up for the past few weeks, and we had been monitoring it, and it gave us a nice little reaction from this area of demand. Again, now once coming to the structures, we have been seeing that we were making lower lows and lower highs. So a lower low, a lower high, a lower low. Okay, and as the market was reacting up from here, we had two areas marked. Firstly, this area of order block, so right here, and then this area of external structure right here on the weekly time frame. So for us to go bullish on NZDUSD, we would need to see a break in these two structures. Okay, so what do we know? We know that this is a strong supply, and then this is a strong area of supply. So potentially market could just continue down, making lower lows, which is what's happening right now. So once we go into the 4 hours time frame, we saw that okay, we reacted off this demand area, we went back up into this area of supply on the weekly time frame. So this is a strong area of supply. Now if you guys are one of my students and you guys are in the group for the BITFX, I had shown there live when this happened. So on 4 hour time frame, we were externally bullish on 4 hours, and we're making higher highs right here. Okay, we went into this area of supply on the weekly time frame, and then from here we saw a nice strong reaction, market coming down and breaking the structure right here. Okay, so there was this BUS done on the 4 hour time frame. So externally we turned bearish on the 4 hour time frame, and then externally we are bearish on the weekly time frame as well. So it's matching up right now, and then we are on a strong area of supply. So what happened? Market came, did a BUS. I had this area marked for the POI and I sent it to my students. Now what happened? Market went back up into the zone. Again, the zones I'm marking are not accurate. Okay, so I'm just giving you guys a rough idea, so you guys know that okay, this is the area from where you could potentially sell, from where you could potentially buy. If you see the confirmations earlier, you can take the sells early. If you see the confirmations later, you can take it later. The thing is, if I mark this POI, market should not cross this high. If it crossed the high of this POI, that time the POI is invalidated. Okay, so it's no longer valid. Again, if this POI is high is crossed, it's no longer valid. This POI is high is crossed, it's no longer valid. It's no longer a strong supply zone. It's broken. This it's broken. This it's broken. Okay, so again, market did a BOS, went back up and into the zone which I had sent to the students, and we saw a nice sell-off reaction from here. Even the NFP boosted the sell-off and market continued going down. Now what are the possibilities for NZDUSD? Again, potentially continuing a little bit lower. Right now externally we have turned bearish. Once I will need to see, let's just check. Okay, so this area has been broken down. Okay, so we have broken another low. Now potentially we're going to go back up and tap into the zone right here. Okay, so this is one of the possibilities. Market's going to go back up into the zone, then continue going down. So this is my POI number 1. I will look for some buys from around this zone as well, and this zone as well. So these will be the small buys, as is a strong trendline liquidity right here building up. So our sells can be very confirmatory as well, as we are on the supply zone and this trendline liquidity is there, and market is potentially gonna tap into the zone, then clear all of this out. And once it clears all of this out, it potentially can react from this order block here, right here. So this area of demand, it can react from here, maybe go few pips. It can either continue going back up, or it can come down into the zone, give some reaction. Again, it can either continue going back up, or it can continue making other lower lows. Okay, so these are all the possibilities for NZDUSD. Okay, so these are all the POIs for NZDUSD. Alright, so coming on to Usdcad. Lastly, we can see on the weekly time frame we have been making this externally bullish higher highs. Okay, so externally on the weekly time frame we were bullish, but now if you see, there was this structure created and market made another higher high, then came down, made a lower low, breaking this structure right here. So did a BOS right here. Now looking at the previous trend, so in this same upper trend, if we see that how many times similar things have happened before, so in my eyes this structure is very non-significant. Okay, now what do I mean by that is, if we see in the past, like let's say right here, market was making a higher highs. Okay, this was a low structure, market came, did a BOS, so it broke this structure, it break this structure, and then market went back up and it failed, it did not respect this high, because of the bullish nature of the USDCAD pair. Then again, right here, if we see market went another higher high, BOS of two structures came and did not respect this area right here. So on those basis, I'm saying that this is a very non-significant structure and we could very possibly just continue going back up. But obviously we saw on the technical side that okay, we have a break of structure on the weekly time frame and we have to keep it in our knowing that okay, we have to acknowledge it, that there is a possibility of market reacting of this area of supply and then dropping down. So I'm gonna use this for my area of supply, and in this zone we'll be looking for lower time frame confirmations. So potentially market can react of this, and then this could be our target 1, and then the next targets could be all the way down here. Okay, this is one possibility, which if market decides to react of this, we could potentially come and target this order block and then maybe potentially even take clear of all this liquidity. Okay, let's go into the daily time frame. Now daily time frame is interesting as it shows clear structure break, clear, everything is so clear on the daily time frame. Everything is very clear on the daily time frame. So we have to acknowledge this area of supply. Okay, so it's one of the important parts. You have to acknowledge this area of supply. So potentially on the week's open, if we see where was the last week's high, so this is the last week's high itself. Okay, so as the market opens next week, potentially we can see the market's gonna go clear up this high. Once the high is cleared up, that time maybe potentially we would see some 5-minute lower time frame confirmations in this area and then continue down. So this would be my target 1, as this is the external low according to the external structure. So this is a major external low, higher low. Alright, so there's the external higher low right here on the USDCAD daily time frame. Even on the weekly, this is the external low. So this would be my target 1. If USDCAD decides to respect this POI, this would be my target 1. My target 2 would be this right here. Okay, so mostly if you're in some cells, I'd most likely clear up all of my positions, let's say like 60 to 70% of them around this area. The rest I could hold all the way down right here if potentially USDCAD was supposed to come and take out these liquidity areas as well. So yeah, let's see on the 4 hours if we have something. So nothing much on 4 hours. We can see some sort of an internal reversal, market making this again, market making lower lows, and then the break of structure came back down and then pushing aggressively towards the upside. So again, as I told you in the starting, we have a very high possibility that this POI won't be respected. Looking at the previous nature of the market, previous nature of the pair, we can see that we are very externally in a bullish trend, extreme externally bullish. Okay, so this way just be careful. Don't just blindly place your limits right here and be waiting for the sells. No, that's not going to happen. Wait for proper confirmations, wait for the proper 5-minute time frame confirmations. Once you see those, once you're seeing that all the rules are being matched, that time for sure you can take the setups, you can take the trade right here for the shorts. If the market then comes here, obviously you can take off your some positions and then look for buys as well if it gives you a lower time frame confirmatory trade. Same for this. So these will be my POIs for USDCAD as well. Alright guys, that's all for the weekly outlook. Make sure to like, subscribe and comment down below what you guys would like to see next. Till then, keep smashing those risk rewards, keep smashing those pips, trade safe, stay risk managed, and see you guys in the next week. Peace.